Hello and welcome back to Drams for Dummies, and I am of course the numero uno dummy, Brett. Thank you so much for being here. Today we are sampling and scoring and reviewing and nosing and tasting and all of that jazz, the Heaven Hill 90th anniversary bottle. So again, I've been away for a minute, and this came out in October of last year of 2025. Has a retail price of $150. Probably not going to see it on shelves anymore. Probably. So a little late. This is more for entertainment at this point, but also you might see them on the secondary market. I'm sure you will. I doubt there's going to be a lot of markup on them just because a lot of these, these bottles now are sitting longer. There isn't quite as much of a secondary market, and Heaven Hill is not the Buffalo Trace craziness. So, if you see this review, you see it online, you see it secondary, a friend of yours has it, you see it at a restaurant or your favorite bar, maybe this guides you to say, hey, I want to pull the trigger and buy it, or I want to pull the trigger and try it. Either way, it's an excuse for me to sit here with you guys in my dummy kitchen and drink great booze with you. So, as usual, I've had a little bit of this just to get that neck pour, get the air going. I think I poured a sample for my guy at my favorite liquor store just to say thank you. But that's it. I haven't had it since. I know what I kind of thought about it when I first had it. That's been months ago at this point. So we'll see what happens today. Real quick, it comes in this box. You're seeing a lot of special editions coming out from different distilleries, and then you see, people arguing about whether that's a worthwhile package or, whatever, and that's cheap, or they should have done this. I think for $125, it's got a nice feel to it. It's just kind of a solid, it's classy. It's got, as opposed to kind of, I think sometimes having cheap openings or whatever, it's got that kind of magnetic, it's on the side, it's a magnetic open, and then you've got the bottle in there, kind of, it's got a little foam container that kind of holds it together, and then it's got a little hey, here's what's going on with the history of and about this bottle. So I'm going to get it out of that while this fruit fly or whatever buzzes my face. I might have to try to Mr. Miyagi that mother effer, and then it'll be a cut because we can't. You don't want to watch me Mr. Miyagi this guy. But yeah, nice bottle. Again, 90th anniversary. It's got its bottling date. It's got its mash bill. So again, Heaven Hill has its kind of standard. I'm going to have to look back up. 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. This is the standard Heaven Hill mash bill. That's what's in Evan Williams. That's what's in Elijah Craig. That's what's in, I just spaced off the other one that I'm trying to, McKenna. So that's like your standard bourbon. They're very low rye, so high on the corn. 107 proof with this one. 107 proof was the barrel entry point as an homage to when they first started 90 years ago. And then they proofed it right to 107 as well. It's listed as a 9-year, 8-month bottle. So we're pushing on 10. It actually all the barrels got barreled on the exact 80th anniversary of Heaven Hill, which was December 13th, 2015. And with that, I think that's all I know. So let's have fun. Let's get into this thing. Let's give it a little swirl and twirl. Let's see what we got going on here. So at first, you can see in the bottle, it's a nice color. It's not what you would say is the darkest thing you've ever seen, but it's definitely got a nice caramely, darkish color to it. So that, I guess the thing I left out, sorry, 70% just straight barrels, and then they took 30% of that distillate in that day that they barreled, and they put it into a heavy char barrel. So there's a heavy char thing going on in here too, to give it a little bit more, maybe a little more oak, maybe a little bit more depth. So interested to see how that plays. All right, let's get into this. You know, different than I remember, brighter at first than I remember. Kind of got me in the nose a little bit, like it was a higher proof. So then if I didn't know better, at first I would think higher proof. Between the color, I would think it's not young, so I'd think higher proof. But as you keep coming back to it, it's like a kind of a medicinal cherry, maybe a little citrus in there too. So that brightness isn't coming from, it's not really a cinnamon per se. It's not that kind of a bright and spicy. It's kind of more of a bright on that cherry citrus fruitiness, but it's not bright and harsh and just super sweet in that range. It's got that bright note in there, but it's got so much caramel, char, depth, age, the corn, everything is smoothing out. That the majority is a smooth, round bourbon, but it's got a little bit of a brightness in there. A little bit of a barrel char. Again, we got some of that heavy char influence from the 30%. It's just really nice. It's kind of what I remember a little bit, in the sense that it's not like you're going to smell this and go, oh, what is this crazy thing? This isn't craft. This isn't a crazy high rye. This isn't something from a small distillery that you don't know that's using an heirloom grain or whatever. It's Heaven Hill, and it's their standard distillate. And so you've had it in all kinds of forms. I have my Evan Williams Black nearly every night in Coke because it's a fantastic mixer, and it's a great bourbon. So now we're just talking about those are 4 to 7 years old. Now we're talking about 2 to 3 years older. Obviously, better barrels. We've got the char in there, but whether it's the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, or the Henry McKenna, or the Evan Williams, or these Heaven Hill products, you're getting the same mash bill. It's not going to blow your mind in a creative sense, but this comes off as a really good version, right, of that. But it's got the more, again, good bourbon. The more you let it sit in the glass, the more you come back to it. You keep nosing, coming back, breathing, drinking. It's going to change. This one kind of ebbs and flows a little bit, and it's all good. I'm going to give that an 8. That's a really good nose. So let's see what the palate's doing here. Really nice. As soon as it gets in there, you roll it around like you should. But a lot of times you do that and you can't taste anything, and it's not coating. This immediately starts to coat. This immediately starts to, you can kind of taste that deep, rich, traditional bourbon flavors already before you even like swallow it and really bring the air to it. It's just really nice. It matches the nose. I'll do another drink to kind of compare that and confirm that. But so far, just solid and nice. Yeah, I would say on the palate, thinking about just a score for the palate, it coats. It's got flavor. It's got some richness in there, but it maybe comes down off the nose a hair in a sense of depth and complexity. I feel like the nose, you keep going back, you get a little bit, it's not like doing anything crazy, but you kind of can pick up some different things each time. I feel like the palate is kind of just right in that oaky, caramely bourbon. If you just picture, or we're talking to someone who's like trying to describe bourbon, what is bourbon? This is bourbon. This is traditional bourbon, and I think the palate kind of just does that. It doesn't do anything too different, too crazy, too, oh my God, that's some of the best stuff I've ever had. It's just right there. It's obviously an older version of a Heaven Hill, a traditional kind of mash. So it's got a little bit of that age, it kind of it drinks a little proofier than it is, which I think is good. I'm a proof person, so I like that. But it kind of comes in, and at the front of the palate, maybe even the mid palate, solid, 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 matches the nose. I would say on the back of the palate, as it starts to kind of transition into that first part of the finish, a little funky, a little, I don't want to say sour, but just a little bit of that damp rag, you know, that kind of funky, moldy rag, whatever. It's not a pleasant smell or thought, but you know what I'm talking about. That wet thing sat in the washing machine a little too much. You're like, ooh, little funk. Not rotten, not bad, just a little funk. That kind of hits on the back, which kind of turns the experience a little bit. But then what's interesting, and I'm going to have to, I need to score the palate. The finish, it does something interesting that I'll try to confirm here in a second. The palate to me it's a 7. It's good. It's not average. It's not pretty good. A little above average. It's good. It's a solid, good palate, but nothing exemplary. That's not how you pronounce that, but that's the best my articulators are going to do tonight. So 7 on the palate. Let's see what the finish is doing. If it does the same thing it just did, then I've got it locked down. Nope. Hashtag bourbon burps. Already 2 drinks in. Hashtag bourbon burps. Empty stomach. Classic dummy move. Drink it on an empty stomach, but it's what I do. If you've seen in my videos, you know I do it. I've already got the Taco Bell order in my head that I'm going to go hit after this when I'm all buzzed up. Not too buzzed because I'd probably be driving, but it's close. Anyway, palate time. Yeah, that is really interesting. This Heaven Hill 90th anniversary, the finish might be its best part. Because like I said, at the back of the, and this can be confusing, and we all would define this differently. When I say back of the palate, it's like you're starting to swallow it. It's really kind of still in your mouth, but it's kind of on the back of your tongue. It's rolling down. And then of course, so since that's doing that, you're in a middle zone of like back of palate, front of finish. That little sour kick right there. And usually for me, when I start to get that kick, that twist, that funk, it sort of rolls through the finish. It's because the finish it's not in your mouth anymore. So it's just like, well, that's what it's doing. That's what it's doing. It just kind of stays, and it burns and it whatever, and it rolls out and it's it. This does something different because it really tells me it is the back of the palate that has that little bit of a twist and funk in it, because it dissipates pretty fast in the finish. And then like all of this like really nice flavor and oakiness and caramel kind of comes back in the finish, and it runs for a very long time. It's a really long finish. And so it's almost like you start with this nose and you say, this is really good, really solid, really, really, really good traditional bourbon. The palate doesn't drop the ball, but it doesn't really like elevate anywhere. It just kind of holds the line and starts to make you think that we're dropping the ball. And then the finish comes back and goes, no, this is really good. So I'm going to give that a 9 on the finish. So that's a 24. So for me, 8 and above, you could just call that top shelf. I got to a place when I was doing a lot of 0.5s and going all over the place to say like an 8.2 and above is my top shelf. So I don't really know where my top shelf is right now. It has been living on my top shelf because look, it's got a fancy box, fancy bottle. It seems like it should be on the top shelf. And I would say that its experience backs up that it should live on your top shelf. One, because it looks good on the top shelf. Whether you have the bottle out by itself, because that's a good looking bottle. I'd probably maybe just do this, or maybe, you do this maneuver, you kind of have it all setting like that on your shelf, something like that. But, an 8 nose, 7 palate, 9 finish, end on that high note, makes you want to go back for more. Again, when you just were thinking like, what is this Heaven Hill 90th worth it? Well, what did I say? $125. You're getting a nearly 10-year bourbon. They've done something a little different with the 30% heavy char finishing. So that gives it a little twist and a little fun there. I think all told, when you think $10 a year, you're almost at $100 right there. For an extra $25 to have something that's special, it's a one-time release. It's got the different packaging all day long. If you can get it for $125, it's a top shelf bottle, and you like just traditional bourbon, you should buy the bottle. If you see it out on a bar shelf, get yourself a pour. Don't be expecting to be blown away by some fantastic, crazy thing you've never had before. But at the same time, know you're going to get a really, really solid, really nice drink. And that's what you're looking for, unless that bar is priced it in some ridiculous amount per ounce, and then you pass it, you know. So, and I'm not going to try to do the math on what the per ounce should be off of 125. You guys figure that out. Anyway, that's the Heaven Hill 90th anniversary. It's a buy. It's an 8. It's solid. I love you guys for watching, for being here in the Dummy Kitchen with me. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day whenever you're watching this. And no matter what, just love yourself, love everyone around you, be a great person. And in this crazy world, if you're a good person who treats every single human being with kindness and respect, you're my best friend. That's the best we can do. You're winning at life. And if you're drinking good bourbon while you're doing it, you're a superstar. Love you guys. See you next time.